Ooh, what's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that, well, he can get a lot of women, but he can't bring home cold fusion or whatever the hell they're called.
that line. We're
Sure
gonna
fun.
get to that, but that line. That's an interesting place to start the show this week. But that line, we're gonna get to that line, Nestlemania. But first, we have to do a little bashing in Berlin. We're gonna run through, Raw, SmackDown, NXT had a pay-per-view as well, and I believe AEW has another goddamn pay-per-view this weekend. They were all in last time. Now they're all out, just like me on the product lately. So we're gonna get to those predictions at the end of the show. Don't you worry. We're gonna hit on NXT No Mercy at the end as well. But we're gonna start Nestlemania, I believe, in Berlin.
Well, that was a huge weekend for everybody involved in WWE. As they said, the biggest gate of all time. Is it weird to you? We've been used to the idea of attendance, right? We've been used to the idea of like saying record numbers of attendance. But it seems like the WWE's like trotting out like we're making the most money ever. Like it's weird.
These soccer stadiums in Europe are even like bigger and can hold more people. So every single one they've done, they've smashed the record. And like it is what it is. As long as they keep doing these big stadium shows, they're probably going to continue to break these records.
All right, let's get right into it. Bash in Berlin, a huge night for everybody. We start off red hot. Cody Rhodes defending his WWE Championship against Kevin Owens. 23 minutes, 16 seconds. Look, I had zero expectations in this matchup. I was pleasantly surprised, very much so. I would even go as far as I think this was probably the match of the night for me.
Wow.
I did not expect it at all.
I'd have to think about that. I mean, I knew this was going to be a banner. On one hand, you have Cody Rhodes. On the other hand, you have Kevin Owens. They're two of the fucking best in the world. So I knew it'd be a banner. But like I've said the last couple of weeks, I've kind of enjoyed the way they played this storyline where they kind of made you think for a minute and they kind of run through like Kevin's past. And I think this is a big crossroads for Kevin Owens where I hope it evolves him in some way. As we saw him and Cody, they're still friends after the match, which is what, Cody was hoping for and everything. Because KO hesitated to take that kill shot. He had his opportunities. The announcers were letting him know, but it was good storytelling. And I think we've seen with KO in the past, him not be hesitant to take that kill shot. So I'm curious what is next for him and his character. We obviously, it seems, as we'll find out probably on Friday, it appears Solo Sikoa got next for Cody Rhodes. We'll see, though, if there's any chicanery that goes on with that. But coming out of this match, I'm curious to see what's next for Kevin Owens.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It was in my notes. He makes his character must see, and now you're curious to see what transpires going forward for him. I feel like Cody Rhodes, he can't have a bad match. He's very emotionally invested. He's good at what he does. He's great at what he does. I love the spot of just him jumping off the ropes because they kept playing. If you even watch the pre-show, they were talking about like, oh, word around the water cooler is that Cody Rhodes hurt his leg. They added anticipation about whether or not it was real. Of course, on Friday, we can talk about that if we want, but I just thought they did a great job with everything going in that match. And again, I think I enjoy wrestling the most when I don't have an expectation. And I think this one was kind of like, well, I know it'll be good, but I was so surprised how well the character stuff was with Kevin Owens. We always know he's good in the ring. We always know he can go, but just watching him get frustrated with the knee and then not power bombing him and just doing all these things that he could and should have done. And then having people being like, hey, Kevin Owens, you don't have a fucking spine. When he heard the commentators tell him he was an idiot, just all that shit. And then at the end, you think he's going to turn heel and he doesn't. And it's interesting because they went the entire weekend and the entire match saying it's been 7 long years for Kevin Owens to win a championship, a singles championship, not even the world championship, JC. 7 years. Now, let's think about that for a second. To stay relevant for 7 years without a championship, a singles championship.
And to do 2 WrestleMania main events in that span of time?
That just shows how incredible that person is. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about Joe just made a nice comment in the chat here. If we eventually tag with someone to get the heel turn on Cody. Well, I do think that's interesting, Joe, because my speculation for what possibly could be next for KO is we're going to get to another guy in this card who recently lost, who's been a friend of RKO. Their names kind of go together. My guess is those the Bloodline are kind of holding those tag titles. I think we could possibly see a little feud there where they do a KO Randy short feud thing against the Bloodline. And unfortunately, I do not think Kevin is going to turn. I think his character might get into some other way after that, but I think that'll slowly lead to Randy's eventual turn on Cody, which I am expecting at some point in the new year. I mean, maybe that's the WrestleMania match. I think that might be more like the Royal Rumble match, but we'll see. It depends how this Bloodline stuff sorts out with Roman and Solo and all the moving parts there. But I could see a little mini feud here coming up with KO and Orton against the Bloodline for the tag titles.
It's interesting that you said the Cody Rhodes and Orton thing for WrestleMania, because I would be curious to see how the WrestleMania card would shake out, because I feel like if Rock or Roman is sniffing anywhere,
I think it's Cody Rock at WrestleMania, which is why I think Cody Orton could be the Rumble.
And it'd be interesting to me because I feel like you eventually have to acknowledge, put the finger up anyway, acknowledge that you got to have that Roman Reigns match, that rematch, run it back. But you know, Danny makes a great point here too. Do you think Randy could take the title off of Cody?
I don't think so, just because I'm operating under the assumption that Cody's going to be defending that thing against The Rock at WrestleMania. But that isn't to say he could lose it and win it back. We've seen plenty of champions do that. They did it with McIntyre a few years ago, actually, I believe, with Randy Orton, where I think he got it back. So they could obviously do that, whether it's Solo or Randy maybe takes the title off Cody for a month or two to kind of like keep it fresh and then go back. But I highly doubt it. It seems like, I mean, Cody, he is the face of this company. He is the guy that's selling out these arenas. He's like he is the guy. And they like, I think they just like having the title on him right now because he will do whatever is best for the company, man, in terms of going everywhere, promoting everything. And I think they like having that ugly piss yellow title on him. So my guess is he'll hold it until The Rock takes it from him at WrestleMania.
Oh, don't even say that out loud. What is wrong with you, Joshua? What? That's something that comes out of my mouth, but your mouth.
I'm a realist, Nestlemania.
You're a realist. Listen.
Can you smell?
You want the
what's the title?
You want The Rock to have it?
That isn't say what I want. I don't just come on here and always say things that I want. We do that in the hope section and hashtag JC's hopes come true. We'll get to that a little later. But no, I have to speak facts, Nestlemania. And right now, looking at the lay of the land, the landscape, I'm predicting Cody's loss coming to The Rock at WrestleMania.
Well, that put a damper on my night. I'll say we're only 8 minutes into the program, and I just want to not talk about wrestling anymore. No, so look, that was a great match. Moving on to the next thing, we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill beating the Unholy Union at 12 minutes, 2 seconds. They are now two-time women's tag team champions. Look, we knew this was a foregone conclusion. I don't know how you feel about this. But it seems like the one thing I will say is I was watching this match and I felt bad for the Unholy Union because I like them. I think they're great. Unfortunately, it just seems like they're in the wrong stratosphere with these two women on the other side of the ring. Like, you can't doubt their strength, their toughness and stuff. But all I kept thinking about was, man, I would love to see the Unholy Union. I'm sure they'll get their chance. But I just felt like they were an afterthought throughout this entire small reign here.
I'll say this on the other side of the coin of that, though, Nestlemania. They probably wouldn't be defending their titles on pay-per-view if they weren't facing these two.
That's fair.
Like, if it was them versus the PFC, as we mentioned earlier, or Kaden and Katana, or pick a women's tag team, like, because I completely understand what you're saying, but honestly, the Unholy Union held those titles longer than I expected. I thought it'd quickly go back to Jade and Bianca. They let them do some work in between, but instead, they got to be part of a huge show once again overseas involving these women. And I think it's one of those things like, we know Alba and Isla. I mean, I really know Isla, love her. But I would say the majority of audiences had no fucking clue who either of these women are. But now the last couple months, they know who they are because they're going head to head with two of the most popular and biggest stars on the planet. So look at this match, like you said, foregone conclusion, was what it was. You don't have to dive too deep. I have no problem with it because honestly, I like the way that when you do a rematch and you kind of space out in between, so it's not immediate, which we're getting next week, by the way, but that's just to move on from it. But it's like they kind of let the Unholy Union go to all three shows, expose themselves, show that, hey, we belong here. We're legit. We're deserving champions. But it's just one of those things like when you got a freaking freight train coming, you get out of the way. And that's what happened here.
I will say this much. I know that we've been awfully critical of a lot of things going on in the women's division, but I will say this much. I've been watching Jade with a close, magnifying glass, and I thought this was one of her better outings. I thought that she they've protected her very well. She's going to be a superstar in the WWE. I mean, she was already a superstar in AEW, but I think to be a WWE superstar, there's a different level of commitment, a different level of understanding of what you're doing in the ring there. And while I was watching her, I was like, okay, she's slowing down. She's doing this. She was a little stiff, which I kind of like. So I was just like, oof, that was rough.
I think she's always going to be that way just because she's a fucking unit.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, it's just like she is one of one, right? So like when I was watching her, I was happy for her because I feel like a lot of the times it's just like people shit on, the inevitably like this girl is just kind of thrusted into this role because of how she looks, and she didn't learn step by step. She kind of learned on the job. So I was just happy to see that it caught up with her because I think we're slowly turning a page with her.
Yep.
Do we believe in Joe Henry? We're gonna have to wait till later to find out if we believe in Joe Henry. All right, that's all I gotta say. That's it. Moving on to the next thing. Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong one. CM Punk defeated Drew McIntyre by touching all four corners. That's right. It actually said that on Wikipedia. 19 minutes, 15 seconds. You want to talk about Gaga? You want to talk about character development? You want to talk about a bunch of fucking things? This was the character match of the night for sure.
Nestlemania. You know how earlier you said Cody and KO was the match of the night, and I was kind of like, yeah, I really liked it, but it wasn't. This was my match of the night.
Wow.
And I don't like strap matches, but it's something about. I mean, it's just like these matches are perfect for CM Punk. It came at the perfect time for this feud, but this was the one match I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And it's one of those things like you talk about it with the fucking corners and the setup. But I thought the way this finish worked, it's like you get a GTS touch a corner. How about another GTS corner? That's, I think, how you do this type of match. It's like, give me the excitement in between, and CM Punk being like, no, I am literally going to kill you to win this match. The moment of him grabbing the bracelet was awesome. The moment of him leaving the arena, thinking that it was over, talking about Gunther was awesome. We'll get to Monday. I love that as well. But it's just like, that's what's made this feud so good is both these guys just like trading blows. And whenever one thinks it's over, the other one reminds him that it's not. They're literally like Peter Griffin and the Chicken right now. And I thought this match was a blast for a fucking strap match. It's just like you said it there. The story, the gaga, the moments, the anticipation, the tension. This shit had it all. This is my favorite part of the show.
There were two instances that showed you. I really wish anybody who runs a wrestling promotion, whether it's an indie wrestling promotion, or if you're TNA, if you're Ring of Honor, you're AEW, whomever you are, there were moments in there where they let things breathe and the camera work. Like CM Punk nailed him, grabbed the bracelet, and instead of just ripping it off, it was like he held on to that hand for that extra 2 seconds. And that extra 2 seconds gave everybody in the arena, from the cheap seats, everybody at home, the extra second to be like, yes, thank you for bringing it full circle. And then he did it. And I think there was another moment. I don't have it written down my notes, but I remember watching it going like, they're taking the extra time here. They're slowing things down, which again, register. That's what the people forget, to register with the crowd, whether they're there or at home or whatever. And I just thought that was wonderful. I did laugh at the meme where Drew McIntyre sucked the bracelet down his trunks and then CM Punk's kissing it afterwards, which is hysterical to me. But we can talk about Monday in a little bit, but I just think just the way he handles himself, McIntyre, is so good. Just like, I mean, it must have been like a year and a half where we just fucking shit on this guy. He was just not interesting. And man, is he one of the best things going today. I just like consistently across the board, I just think to myself, this guy is an asshole. Like just flat out asshole. And then he's against the biggest asshole of all assholes, CM Punk. And yet somehow Drew is still the bigger asshole. So I'm interested in your thoughts because you were not excited about a strap match, JC. You said this is your favorite match of the night.
Yep.
So what's the secret sauce for you?
It's just good storytelling. That's the thing is like any match type. It's one of those things like a strap match is never going to make me excited. But what was it? CM Punk MJF strap match. I love that match as well, because if it's in the right story, it has the right guys, and you do it the right way. Like it can be entertaining. Like that's the thing. I like to shit on steel cage matches, but that doesn't mean there's not good steel cage matches out there. Like there are ones that make sense, and there are ones that certain characters do it well. And like the strap match has kind of become, to me at least, synonymous with CM Punk. He's kind of said that too. I believe he's undefeated in WWE with it. So it works. It just works.
It's fascinating. I think you're talking about the dog collar match with the
dog collar.
I
equate those as pretty much the same.
Similar.
Yeah.
Nestle loves straps on. Thank you. There he is. There he is. I didn't know if he was going to show up tonight, but say his name and he appears. Believe in. I'm not going to do it again.
Anyway. Backcracker.
Backcracker. We could probably Photoshop his face on Joe Hendry because they look very similar. Imagine if the backcracker,
I don't know if they look very similar at all.
Imagine if the backcracker did frosted tipped hair. That would be incredible. I think he could pull it off personally.
That would be a look.
That's JC not believing in you is what he's basically saying. He said that's a look, basically saying
you just said him and Joe Hendry look the same, which I don't think they look the same at all. Like they have nothing the same.
Nothing. I think they do,
except for maybe they're both a little.
You can't
shorter side.
Now you're a shamer of his height.
Joe Hendry's a Scotsman with bleach blonde hair. Doc is not. He does not have bleach blonde hair.
I'm just saying I believe that he would look good in bleach blonde hair. That's all I'm saying. Anywho. Nestle hasn't seen skinny Doc.
Doc has dropped some pounds. He has dropped some pounds.
That's great. I hope it goes very well for you. Anyway, so we'll move on to something else, I guess, at this point. The Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest defeat Liv Morgan, and Dominic Mysterio. 14 minutes, 20 seconds, mixed tag style. Another match full of gaga. And I'm curious your thoughts about this. Going forward with it, but I did think this was a really good character match as well. Rhea Ripley's on another level. Priest is doing yeoman's work now that he's kind of one of the better baby faces I've seen in the company. But what I was really interested with was how long can you make this match believable before it gets to a point of okay, I've seen enough. In theory, Dom and Liv shouldn't even be in the same stratosphere, right?
Well,
but they did a great job.
Why you bring in Finn, Carlito, and JD?
Right.
It's just look,
of course.
This match was fine. It was probably in terms of matches on the card, it was probably near the bottom for me, but it was fine. Look at, you said it. Rhea and Priest are over like fucking Rover. Dom and Liv are two of the top heels. It just works. But to me, this was just a pit stop onto the main events that I'm looking for, which are Rhea and Liv, the rematch, and then Finn and Priest finally going one-on-one. So it's just this was a checkpoint as we continue to work our way there.
You don't have anything else to say about this, it sounds like, so we'll just move on. To the main event, which again, another fucking amazing match. Gunther defeated Randy Orton by technical submission, 34 minutes, 28 seconds. Obviously the main event of all main events here. This had everything. I mean, they had the intro part with Gunther sitting there, and then all of a sudden you see the hand come in front of Sam, and it's Ludwig Kaiser looking like $1 million, doing
so over in his home country.
I mean, just him doing the intro was just that's your best friend doing something amazing for you. And you can just see Gunther trying to be stoic, but kind of being yeah, that's my fucking guy right there. And that was wonderful for me, but just so many good moments. It was so physical. We knew that was going to happen, but just the idea of Gunther always relies on the chops. They go after the arm. I like that psychology of it. The table spot was wonderful. There's so many little things that were transpiring here. And again, it was slow, but we go back to the idea of Randy Orton's never had a fast-paced match. You know what I mean? He is methodical to a T. There's a reason why he's one of the best to ever do it, because he is slow and everything registers when it comes to Randy Orton. So it didn't bother me that it was slow. Sometimes I'm very much bothered by slow pacing, but it kept my attention, which I think is a very tight kind of space. It is a tightrope kind of thing where if you're too slow, you lose them. If you're too fast, I don't understand what's going on here. I feel like I'm watching just a circus. So what were your thoughts?
I loved the stuff with Orton in the crowd at the beginning. They milked his entrance. They milked Gunther's entrance. You hit on the Ludwig stuff. I mean, this thing, it's Gunther is Austrian, But Germany really was like a second home from him. This is where he did a lot of his wrestling in the startup, and they kind of ran through it. Michael Cole ran through it on the show. So you could tell that he was really soaking it in. But I just love, like, Randy at the beginning of the match, like, you talk about it being slow. The parts I love the most are at the beginning. Him just like doing the wave and all the stupid shit. Like, this is the part of Randy Orton I love right now, is he just living his best life, just enjoying fucking being a star. Like, it's just like you feel like he's finally at the point of his career. He's like, I can just sit back and enjoy how awesome this is. And I mean, look, they had a really good match. I do think it did go on a little too long. There were some stuff there probably in the little bit in between the middle and the end that I was kind of like, all right, they kind of like lost me a little bit, but it's one of those things. Anytime you get a match this long, that's going to happen. I know what they were going for, but I do like that Gunther got the dominant win. There's no doubt when you put someone to sleep. So he writes his first run. And then as we'll get to on Monday, it appears he will get a chance to write yet another one of the blemishes on his record. But it's what it had to be for Gunther's first main event match. A babyface Randy Orton was perfect. It just this just worked. It was a cool atmosphere for this match because both guys were beloved by the crowd. And obviously these two, physical, hard hitting, you said it, like it worked for me for the most part.
Before we leave this, I have one more question. Anybody in the chat can, chime in here too. I'm just curious people's thoughts on this because it is interesting to me. I couldn't watch this live because I obviously had other commitments. But a lot of people are actually very excited about these early pay-per-views. I'm curious, like, there is an upside where you're not sitting, till midnight watching these things and you have to drive home or whatever. What say you?
I love international shows. My favorite UFC pay-per-views and events are the ones during the day when it's like, oh, London card, 3 p.m. main start, but I get prelims at fucking 11 or 12. Hell fucking yeah, especially on a Saturday. If I'm just, whether I'm on the go or I'm around, I can throw it on my phone. So I didn't watch this till I got home on Sunday, but yeah, I've always enjoyed that because it's one of those things. Like, I think it's exciting and you get the international flavor. Like, these crowds, as everyone has said, have been awesome. But I mean, I'm all for afternoon starts because I mean, like I said, those are my favorite UFC events. The ones when they go to London or they do Australia or whatever, which I know the last few, they've kind of gone back to US time and making these dudes fight at like 4 a.m. But like the OG ones where they let them actually start at like noon and 3, I think are awesome. So
Grandpa Joe Pollock, aka the Joe Stopper, just said, "I'm here for afternoon starts." Of course you are, because you fall asleep at 9 o'clock, you old man. The old fogies, he's probably sitting there with his Snuggie right now, watching us on his laptop with his glasses on, falling half asleep with his cat.
He doesn't look like he's from fucking Star Trek right now.
Listen, live long and prosper, my friend. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe for a Halloween episode, I might go full tilt, the whole shebang.
Disgusting.
Ooh, that was weird. I shouldn't have done that. So anyway, overall, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. I think there's a lot of good stuff that came out of it. We'll talk more about it. We should just get right into the shine, the best part of the program. Here we are.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty obvious. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC something true. I fucking begged for this Nestlemania, and SmackDown delivered it to kick off the show. L.A. Night. Yeah, super over in Germany. But you know what you do? You bring out the only man that could be more over than him, and that is the hometown boy, Ludwig Kaiser. This was such a cool moment for me as a fan of his, and it was for him. You could just tell him coming out like, this is a guy who just enjoys being the bad guy and is so good at it that for him to get a moment like this is the coolest part about traveling around the world, is you get these international stars who never get to perform in front of their friends and family and where they're from, and you get moments like this. This was cool. And I will say this, Nestlemania, this was probably my favorite LA Knight match maybe ever, besides the Logan Paul one, which I loved as well. So he's actually on a good run right now, but this moment was electric. It was awesome. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they listened to our show. I'm glad they listened to me, and I'm glad they listened to Common Sense, because this by far was my favorite part of the week.
Wow, that is a strong statement. That is a very strong statement. It has to probably do with you being correct, though, right? And less about Ludwig Kaiser.
I honestly love Ludwig Kaiser. I was thinking about this when I was watching this on Sunday when I started my marathon of watching wrestling all day because I was so tired and from a long weekend of fun. I was watching this and I was thinking, I was like, if people ask me to rank my favorite current wrestlers over the past, like nowish, like just like right now, people who I actually like really do enjoy the most, like, you know me, I always kind of go for the unappreciated. I'm like, Ludwig would be very high on that list. So watching this and seeing him get his moment, I was like, This is so fucking cool because he may never get another moment like this because he should never be a babyface because he's just so fucking good at being a heel and he's so goddamn handsome that like you can't fucking cheer this guy. But I just was watching this and I just, it was more than obviously everyone loves being right. But for me, it was just like, this is good television. This is an awesome moment. And it was just cool. And I thought this elevates LA Knight. And it was a great way to kick off the weekend in Berlin.
Listen, I totally agree. When I saw it, obviously, I immediately thought of you because I was just like, this is going to be something ridiculous. But even like just watching the clip didn't do it justice. Like you had to watch the whole thing to get the whole feeling of everything. And so like, he's so, like you said, underappreciated because Gunther is so like, he's a final boss kind of character.
Yeah.
But I hope that Kaiser gets his just due at some point. He might be 10 years in to get to the world title, but he could get there someday, I think. But
I don't even know if he needs that. To me, it's just like, I love that like he takes advantage of the opportunities he gets. He gets a moment like this. Sure, he could have a singles mid-card title at some point, but it just, to me, like, I just love seeing this guy on my television because I think he makes everything better.
I cannot believe I'm putting this in my shine.
Oh,
you're not going to like this, but it's fine. I thought the main event of SmackDown was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it was solid. It's the perfect match for me Chin.
It's
a non-wrestling match.
A non-wrestling match. A non-wrestling match. I was sitting there going, the fucking finish to that thing. Holy shit. Like I've taken some crazy moves before, but like watching, here's the thing. We as a whole wrestling community, I think barring me most of the time, because I stand up for Nia, but everybody, the whole thing of like Nia's unsafe, blah, 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 blah. But that finish, the calculated risk it took to not land on her face inside that trash can was very difficult. And there's a fine line between doing it perfectly and not. She hit the sweet spot on that thing. And just the visual of her smashing the Annihilator on a trash can was cool enough. But knowing there was a body in there made me go, that's a fucking win right there. Like that is a signature win for Nia Jax. But like you said, perfectly placed for Michin. Don't let her wrestle. Let her fucking fight. It's true. It's true because it's believable to the character of Michin. She's not a wrestler. She's a street fighter. Exactly. Yeah. She's not a wrist lock kind of person. She is I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you kind of person. Let's keep that going. I'm fine with it. If they let her have some TV time, fine. But I just thought, based on both women's previous notions of who they were, I thought this was the perfect setup for both of them. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to both of them because they all looked great. So I just wanted to make sure we said that.
I was waiting for you to make a can joke. It took a can to lose inside a can on SmackDown in the main event.
Oh no, we'll talk about cans. Not right now.
I'm going to stick on SmackDown WrestleMania because I thought this was a fire show. I thought it was for the most part better than Raw. Quick note: the Germans love Corbin. He's just over there. And I love that. Stupid Legato got the stupid win though, but whatever. But Nestlemania, the match of my second favorite match of the night on SmackDown was Part 4 of Andrade and Melo. We're tied at 2, baby. They're putting it on the screen. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. We're headed towards a best of 7 because they're throwing it on the screen. So it's just like, this was a great match though. I mean, we've made the joke, fight forever, but literally with these two, I'd be fine if they fought forever.
I mean, cheating with the turnbuckle stuff was good. And that was just like, the one thing I thought about was going to game 7 and winning is a Melo thing. So I expect Melo to come out on top of this.
100%.
But man, does Andrade just surprise me every time. Like he does similar moves in every match. But the difference that he makes with like just the little tweaks here and there, I'm just like, this guy is fucking great. Like,
is it safe to say that he's the smoothest wrestler of all time?
Of all time?
Every time I watch one of his matches, I'm just like, everything he does is silky smooth. And that's why one of those things, like, even when I wasn't a big fan of him, it's just, I always made the joke in AEW, oh, it's an Andrade match, I have to watch it. Just because it's just like, I watch him and I'm just like, it's like a different type of Ricochet match because like Ricochet is all the pizzazz and the pew pew pew, but Andrade is just like, how does a body do that so perfectly? How does that, like, it's just everything he does, and he's not like a small guy, like he's tall, so it's just like, I don't know, he blows me away with how smooth he is.
When I watch him, I think to myself, man, he needs somebody to talk for him. That's the only thing stopping him from being a fucking world champion. Like, he is that good. He is like,
I don't think he's going to be one in WWE. Let's be
really?
real.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
NXT
think
title, like that's as close to a world title as he'll get. He'll win another mid-card title, maybe 2, maybe 3. Maybe he'll be a tag champ with someone, but for him to be a world champion, like it would have to, like he'd have to be in Santos's position with a faction.
the Joe Stopper saying peak Rock was the smoothest. Andrade has great control in the ring. I was going to bring up The Rock as one of the smoothest I've ever seen. I think Andrade is definitely up there in the conversation. There's a lot of people who are just easy. Like I personally think somebody that's very underrated smooth wise, Randy Orton, Christian, they're smooth in different ways.
They're different type of smooth though. I mean, just like athletically pleasing smoothness, where it's just like everything he does, like the moves that he does shouldn't look smooth. Like when most people do them, they don't, but he does it. And it is just like, whoa,
Whoa.
whoa,
Whoa.
Alito!
All right. So anything else you want to talk about that's very apparently you won another bet? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I did. We're 1-0 contender series so far. We go to Raw Nestlemania. I mentioned it earlier, and I love this stuff with Punk and McIntyre. It's just like it was just the same thing we saw with Drew. Punk being like, "I'm ready for Gunther." He had a promo with on the post show about it, and then he comes out on Raw and he's talking about. I'm like, this makes sense. You win a big match, you go to the title. I love that they kind of made us wait for it. It's kind of the Triple H thing, like not like they used to in NXT, put up the logo and then something would happen. Now it's just like he's just playing his entrance on, he's dancing around, and then boom. We don't just get a beatdown. We get a fucking never-ending beatdown. They get to the back. He's still beating them down. It's just like, look, we know we're getting a rubber match with these guys, and we're full speed ahead because now it's just like Punk. McIntyre thought it was over before. Punk said no. Punk thought it was over on Monday. McIntyre said no, and he gets the bracelet back. So it's like one last thing for all the marbles. We'll see if they do Hell in a Cell or whatever, but this feud is so good. It deserves an epic ending, and that's what we're headed for.
I just love the little added thing of ripping the bracelet off, breaking it, shoving it in his mouth, and giving him one more Claymore. And there's something about that visually is so interesting to be like, I'm going to shove this down your throat. Fuck you. And it's just, I mean, I didn't really love the promo that Punk has. Like, there's two versions of CM Punk in WWE right now. There's the happy-go-lucky, happy to be here kind of promo. And then when you get into the visceral, I want to kill you promo that CM Punk can deliver, I don't want the happy-go-lucky, gee golly gosh shit anymore. We are in the blood feud, folks. Let's get into the fucking, so I mean, I know it was like,
I thought it was over.
No, and I understand. I understand. But if we're getting to, what was it, 4 weeks away from Bad Blood here? I mean, I want to see some shit. I want to see some real shit here. Like,
you're gonna, boy, buckle up.
Just out of curiosity, do you think there's even a snowball's chance in hell that Drew McIntyre could do a home invasion and like do something to AJ Lee or like kick the dog or something? Do you even think that's humanly possible at this point?
I don't think they need
you don't think it's needed?
I don't think they need it. I think you do something like that if you really need to elevate it. Like this thing's been so elevated. Like we are at like the meter is broken. It like exploded so much that they don't need it.
Okay. So here's my question. Anybody in the chat, anybody that's listening, whatever, are you satisfied if CM Punk wins? Are you more satisfied if Drew McIntyre wins this? Like, does it matter to you or is it just good television?
I don't think it matters because both these guys are legit main eventers. I'm assuming it will be Punk because he does make sense to have a match with Gunther at one of these upcoming events, whether it's Survivor Series or whatever, because the Survivor Series is the year mark, right? So maybe they do that where it's Punk Gunther at Survivor Series.
Well, keep in mind, we also have Crown Jewel in between.
Yeah, that too. So there's one of those things like who knows?
Which I don't know if Punk, based on his political beliefs, would go there. So it's interesting.
Yeah, they all kind of go there now. So it just it's because Sammy goes there and stuff now. It's just so it's different. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like that Punk and Gunther will be one of the major pay-per-views. They treat Survivor Series like a major pay-per-view, so it feels like we could be headed for that. But we shall see. But my guess is that if you made me predict right now, I'd say Punk comes out on top of this feud.
Our boy the Joe Stopper said Drew needs it more, but Punk Gunther makes more sense. I mean, that seems.
Yeah,
to
I
be
actually think Punk needs it more because we know McIntyre has won everything. Yes, he's lost a bunch of stuff too, but this guy, like he's fucking huge. Like Punk, it's like this was his first win since he's been back. Like he looks old. We like make fun of him a little bit for looking that. So it's like a signature win over that, I think, is kind of something that he needs more. I think, in my opinion.
I just want to throw this out to everybody because I'm curious people's thoughts on this because it literally just came into my head as you were talking. Let's say CM Punk wins this match, goes on to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Drew McIntyre costs CM Punk the championship and then says, as long as I'm around, you're not going to be champion either. And then it continues. Does that make it like we're going too long with this? Or is it like, it's just a reminder that this is Peter Griffin and the Chicken, and eventually it'll just pick up somewhere else.
I mean, look, that's always an option, but it feels like we're gonna get finality for at least this version of the feud at Bad Blood.
Okay. I just think it would be very serendipitous to see Drew McIntyre fuck Punk over a couple of times.
It could happen. I mean, that's how this started. So
right. You know what I mean? Like it would be really interesting to me. That's all. Anything else that you have that's positive?
Speaking of Gunther, obviously I said Sammy I've been waiting for. I would like him to be the one to maybe beat Gunther one day. But I don't mind them doing this here because look at Sammy's another one I mentioned a bunch of times talking about Gunther. Orton was a Ron he had to write. Sammy's a Ron he definitely has to write because Sammy's the guy who beat him and took his title away from him, ended his reign. So I think it's one of those things for Gunther to fully cement himself, which look at he's already sold in my mind, but it's just like that win over Orton was huge. This win over Sammy will also write a Ron and solidify Gunther. Like we've talked about that title. And it's like we've just saw it main event a pay-per-view, which really didn't happen much under Seth. But with Gunther, boom, obviously it was his home country. But for it to even be in the stratosphere of the piss belt that Cody has on his shoulder, it's like Gunther has to look unstoppable. And by him cleanly writing the run against Orton, cleanly writing the run against Sammy, then likely I'm assuming he's going to have faced the likes of Priest and who knows who else after that, maybe even Bronson Reed or like it's just all these Titans and he knocks them all down. That is how we elevate this title into the next level by making Gunther, you kind of mentioned it earlier and just passing as like a final boss type guy, but this is yet another step to get us there.
You're missing one wrong that he needs to right after Sammy.
He has a couple.
But Dragunov.
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course.
That's the biggest to me.
They were fighting in dark matches overseas. No,
I know.
It's coming, but they're gonna save that for a major event because they know the fans want it. Even like the casuals, they don't know they want it yet, but they know that is a special thing, and they're not gonna rush it because you don't want to rush Dragunov.
I feel like he's an outside shot though too.
100%.
You could build him.
There's two guys that have done it. It's been him and Sammy. So
yeah. I think Steiner has it. I mean, Braun Breaker beat him, I think, quickly.
He did, but I mean in terms of ending epic reigns of his.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker did beat him clean in his last night in NXT. He beat Gunther's last night in NXT. He put over Braun. So
just interesting. Very interesting to see where things lie here. You know, it's very, very interesting. Like you said, SmackDown better than Raw this week, which is a rarity going on what we've been going on here. But is there anything else that you thought was positive before we get into
I enjoyed the two triple threats, and we just mentioned Dragunov. I'm glad he's in this match because now I have someone to root for that I want to win. Obviously, Braun being in it, we know why that's going to happen. It sets up Bronson Reed. After he smashes COVID, he's going to come back and smash Braun because I think the obvious booking was that Bronson Reed was going to win this match. Braun Strowman, who was injured by Bronson Reed last week, would have made his return next week and cost him the match. They just had to flip it and reverse it because obviously Bronson Reed has COVID. So Braun wins the match. He sold his injury very well, but the way they did the ending worked perfectly. He fucking destroyed Ludwig on that fucking collision. I was like, oh, this poor guy. Ludwig just has a moment of his life that he might have just forgot about it because he just got brawned. But yeah, no, those matches were fun, and we have the Fatal 4-Way next week, so I'll be rooting for Dragunov.
Wasn't that the most integral KT tape thing on Strowman you've ever seen in your life?
I mean, there's a lot of meat to QT tape up there.
No, but I was just thinking to myself as I was watching it, I was just like, it looks like a fucking spider web on the side of his fucking, like, what does that even do? What does that even do at this point? The dude's made a fucking, like, aluminium, but it's just like, it's like that's gonna help him keep his fucking sternum intact. Give me a fucking break.
That's why they
Anyway,
had to use so much, Adam.
what also is interesting is like, okay, so Dragunov's in there, Jey Uso's in there, Strowman's in there, and who else?
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne. So we know Sheamus and Pete Dunne are going to cancel each other out. Bronson Reed and the big boy are going to cross, so it's coming down to Jey Uso pinning, sorry.
No, he's probably going to pin Pete Dunne or Braun Strowman is my guess, because someone's going to cost them. But I'm hoping that it's Dragunov and they pull the upset and Jey Uso's taken out by the Judgment Day, because he decided to stick his fucking nose in their business again. But that's not shine for me. So
okay. Anything else you want to get heated?
Nope.
Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. I don't really have a lot on SmackDown per se, because again, we've kind of talked about everything on SmackDown specifically. So I think it's more of a Raw thing here. For people out there that think Rhea Ripley fucking hurt her leg for real, like, I got another thing fucking coming here, folks. It was her left leg. If you know anything about professional wrestling, the left leg is the working leg, folks. It's what you do. And the fact that she had multiple segments with people in the cast, they had this fucking thing planned out the whole time. So and here's the thing, folks, they need to make it seem like Rhea cannot beat Liv Morgan. If it was a healthy Rhea Ripley, then you wouldn't tune in. You wouldn't think it like, oh,
I mean, I would.
No, but I'm just thinking like this would make Liv Morgan a can, would it not? If it was a healthy Rhea Ripley, no,
because she has fucking 4 goons backing her up. It's
goons.
Like, how many? Like, that's the thing is like size. You're just size shaming right here. But
no,
like,
I'm not.
Most of the great heels, they have factions for a reason, because it protects them. And it's part of the package. When Superman or Superwoman comes in their fucking cape, they need a bunch of villains to hold them down. That's what Carlito and his apple are for. He spits in the face of baby faces who think they are cool.
He doesn't spit with that apple anymore. You notice that shit?
They're saving
just
it,
saying. Just saying.
They're saving it.
Something else I wanted to bring up here. Uncle Howdy interrupts American Made. And they're having a street fight next week, which again.
What kind of street fight?
I'm not saying it.
8-person street fight. Mixed tag.
This is going to be a clusterfuck.
I mean, it's probably going to be fucking awesome, because it's just going to be nonstop violence.
It's got to be the main event. There's no way. Well, I guess no. The Intercontinental title thing will probably be the main event, but because Braun Breaker is going to end up spearing somebody at the end of the show. Like,
no, I could see this 8-man thing being the main event.
I guess it's arbitrary at this point, because it doesn't really matter what main events Monday Night Raw anymore. Because everything
they do good. They've done a good job. The thing that I've always begged for on this program over the years, pre-Triple H here, has been like, I don't need the same thing in the main event every night. Like, rotate it. And like you just mentioned, we've had the IC title in the main event. We've had we've had Judgment Day stuff. We've had world title stuff. It's like, whatever is the hot thing of the week, put it in the main event, because that's how you keep us watching, not to watch the same wrestler every week. You know what I mean? So they've done a better job with it, but I could see this being the main event, depending what kind of finish they have for it.
It really irked me. I don't know why, but it was just like, I know that Uncle Howdy had to speak, but it was something about him holding a microphone in that getup that really upset me. I don't know why.
They should have done this on the screen.
Exactly.
But they wanted to get the
visual. I know.
For the crowd. Yeah, the moment for the crowd. That's what it's about now. This is just so over with the crowd. And like, again, I've said it before. It doesn't translate to TV as well. But for the crowd, it's an awesome experience.
It's a lot. It's honestly a live event gimmick. It's not. It's not a television gimmick anymore.
100%.
And it's hard, because I was sitting there going, he's holding a microphone. The Fiend never held a microphone.
You just don't like Uncle Howdy, and I love it.
I don't.
I don't either, but I don't. I'm a little more forgiving.
The rest of the
Give me more Dexter Loomis in his hair.
Right? I'll take Eric Rowan. I'll take Nikki Cross. I love me some Joe Gacy. But like, for fuck's sake, every time Uncle Howdy comes out, I'm just like, you sandbagging piece of shit. Like, I don't like it. I just don't like it. And I'm sorry. I'm probably like on an island here.
No, you're not.
I want it. Here's the thing. I want it to work. The Fiend was some of my favorite things. I like going down the rabbit hole for me in those 2 years on this program was some of my most fun moments. Like the detective was born out of it. like just me being the red tape everywhere, trying to figure out the meanings of shit. I don't get any fun out of it. That's the problem I have with it. I have no fun with this. I have no way to lead me down a rabbit hole anymore. It's just there.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing to do in front of a live crowd. That's all it is.
It just upset me. It really did. Just seeing him with a microphone upset me. I don't know. I just can't do it.
Well, don't worry, Nestlemania, because Uncle Howdy, is he a man?
No, he's not a man.
He's not a man. What is he?
He's a thing.
Well, there's a man in that thing. And according to Pure, I can't even fucking say this stupid name.
Pure
Fusion Collective says no man can take them home. Well, Sonia, we already knew that. But this just
what a line.
Oh, I don't even remember. It was them beating down Zelina.
Shayna and Zelina.
Yeah, Shayna and Zelina. Then the three of them beat down Zelina. And then Lyra came out, but it was still 3-on-2. And then Shayna's like, no man can take us home. And we beat up people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I was doing math in my head because I was like, well, the other ones that took out were Kaden and Katana. If they run out, then they'll have the advantage. So they can't do that. Unless if they add like Natalia or some other fucking boring person to this faction.
Well, you're not
friends with all of them.
So here's my thing. Here's the funny part. You didn't watch the backstage segment, right? Where they were saying, we're in Calgary next week. I got a plan. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah. You think I pay attention to their backstage segment?
Listen, you're supposed to, God damn it. No, it's part of the job.
No, it's not Chris Jericho where I literally just skip it and change the channel. I haven't seen anything from him in months. It's the best couple months of my wrestling watching life. But like, it's one of those things, like I try to watch it, but I can't say they hold my attention. Literally can't hold my attention.
Here's a swerve for you. Swerve.
Apparently the richest man in wrestling.
Oh my God. If you value that contract. Anyway, so here's what I'm thinking. What a swerve it would be that nobody would. It would just add to Pure Fusion, whatever the fuck they're called, collective. If here comes Lyra and Zelina Vega being like, we got Natty, she's back. Fucking bell rings and Natty just fucking turns on him. And it's just like she gets added to the Pure Fusion. It fits the whole fucking thing. It fits the whole fucking thing. I'm telling you right now, it's happening. It's fucking
of course it is.
It's happening because do you remember Sonya Deville talking to Natty backstage months ago when she came back?
And she's friends with Shayna. She's friends with Zoe. She's fucking tagged with Shayna for like 2 years.
It has to happen, right? Yeah. It has to happen.
And Guthrie, this is for you, buddy. Like I always said, Zoe Stark was always headed to being one of Natalia's tag team partners. Whatever. We can stop talking about this.
But the line was just, no man can take us home. Well, that was your choice. That's your choice, right? It is. So here's what it is. Fine.
What else you got?
Let's see. Moving on. We did all the other stuff here. We talked about all these other things. We didn't talk about Damage Control versus the Fire Bitches, specifically what happened to poor Kairi Sane. What a fucking...
Yeah, she took one to the face, literally.
I mean, I made the comment on Twitter. I'm glad she's okay now, so I can make this joke. She was a pirate. Now she can have the eye patch.
You know what? She better have an eye patch next week.
She wants an eye. How much more badass could she look with an eye patch?
I mean,
right?
I fucking adore her.
She's so great.
Excited.
She's great. But I was just thinking to myself, if you watch that from a standpoint of the camera angle, it's like, I don't even know whose fault that is at this point. It probably was Bianca and Jade's fault for not catching her, but it was also her fault for overshooting it. And I was just like, this is a bad night at the office, really. I literally thought she lost an eye when I saw it. And I cringed at a lot of stuff. God damn, it was bad. So it was just, I just hate to see anything like that happen. Anyway, it is what it is. Jey Uso is a thing. We talked about that. It is what it is. We've talked about nonsense there. Pete Dunne, don't call me Butch. It is a thing. And yeah, I don't know.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, Joe. Get the fuck out of here, you old man. It's like a pumpkin. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Should
we get hopeful?
Let's get
I don't give a
hopeful.
shit about any of this stuff. Glorious, you're my only hope. Nestlemania. We're gonna talk about NXT at the end of the show, but I can't wait anymore because the big debut, it finally officially happened. Julia is in NXT. She came out after Roxanne's match, and they had a stare down. And I can tell you this, Nestlemania, you're gonna hear me talk a lot about Julia on this program because the hype is real, baby, and I'm all in. I don't even know what my hope is for this. My hope is that they don't go too fast with her. I'm assuming they're gonna have her debut on the move to the CW because that's gonna be like a mega show. So I think for sure, I think that could be where maybe she fights Roxanne. But I could see them. This is kind of it's not really a hope but I think it's something they might do here. I expect Roxanne will not lose the title though on that show because you don't want to just give it to Julia right away. But the way you do it is Roxanne has a very good friend who then they weren't friends, but now they're both heels so they can be friends again. Cora Jade is very close to return. So I could see her return and help Roxanne. And what does that set up, Nestlemania? That sets up Stephanie Vacker's debut. And you got the two new girls who are supposed to be the future here against the two girls who are already here, who are supposed to be the future. And you have a little boom, boom, boom. It also kicks the can down the road of Julia taking the title off Roxanne, which I think will happen because I think Julia is going to have a long run in NXT as champion and kind of be the face of it. And then Roxanne will finally be moving up, I'm assuming, around the Rumble or whatever. So maybe that's the timeline. But that's kind of my hope here is because I think it's one of those things like the NXT, I tweeted about it. The NXT women's division is unchallenged and undefeated. Like every time it's like, oh man, they lost all these women. It doesn't matter. They fucking line them up and they keep coming. And now you're bringing in a megastar on the level of Julia. It's just nonstop, baby. And I would love to see this because I'm excited for Julia to debut. I'm excited for Stephanie Vacker to debut. I'm excited for Cora to return and hopefully not have another fluke injury. But it's just, once again, Chef Michaels is cooking in the kitchen, baby, and everything's coming up perfect. I love this shit, man. I love it.
There's something about Julia that is just, it's captivating. But like I said to you before, she has this weird, confused look on her face that it's bizarre.
I think that's why I like her.
Like she almost looks like she doesn't know where she is half the time. like it's just like
any of us. Where am I right now, Adam?
You're in your home, hopefully, or you could have a green screen background. I have no.
It could be a green screen of my home. I could be anywhere.
You could be literally anywhere right now. I would think that you're home though. I've seen your apartment. I know that you wouldn't just green screen it. You know I'm home because kids and whatnot.
You can't wear that outfit in public. So yeah.
What are you talking about? Can't wear this outfit in public? What are you talking about?
People will think you're a fucking Trekkie LARPer over there.
Listen. I've worked out like this in public places. I don't care.
God. Oh my God.
Come on.
I'm embarrassed that those people had to look at you looking like that.
You think I give a shit what?
No, I'm not talking about being embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for them that they had to look at this like I do every week. Like that is a punishment.
The fact that if anybody's looking at me instead of working out, that's their fault, not mine.
What else do you do when you're working out besides look at people? Whether you're on the treadmill, there's nothing else to do but look around. And then if you're lifting weights, like a lot of lifting weights, it's like you're taking breaks in between. You're either looking at your phone or you're looking around. So you see some fucking you with a goddamn fucking laser beam eyes over here looking Star Trek motherfucker. I'd be like, the fuck is this guy's deal?
And yet you'd be waiting for me every time you'd be in there going, I got to see this shit again. How does he keep it up from falling? It's the whole thing.
That never crosses my mind. They're headphones. I know how they work. They stick to you.
And yet you couldn't do it for a whole hour because you said you got a headache. So, it is what it is.
No, I don't want to do it like this because it looks fucking stupid.
Does it though?
You look stupid.
Anyway.
You look stupid. What's your hope?
Here's my hope. I don't know how we're going to get there. But every time I see them together, I think, I just want Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin to get tag titles somewhere down the line. It's a tag team that was nothing, and I didn't think anything of it, but I know we got the bloodline and the whole thing, and I assume the Usos will probably, but whatever. They ship them up to Raw, whatever. They're an interesting hodgepodge tag team that I just think deserve time. Even if it's like a week as tag team champions or something, I just like watching them. I want to see where this goes. They both have each other's backs. Like, it's just weird to me. And but it shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work. But yet I'm watching it and I'm like, this is a great tag team. This has a lot of potential for me. And honestly, I feel like tag team wrestling in the WWE is just gone. It feels like it doesn't matter. The Judgment Day doesn't defend them. The Bloodline's too busy doing God knows what for Solo. It just feels, and the women's tag team titles we know up until now
get defended more than anything,
right? But I was thinking about like the tag team, and it's probably not Triple H's thought process. Just there's too much meat on the bones for everything else.
Nestlemania, dare I say that it's like this? Well, besides NXT, they actually do defend them a lot. They don't have a lot of tag teams. They actually have a lot of tag matches. AEW doesn't defend their fucking tag team titles either. I can tell you this because TJ and I have the list going for the knockers. I could put no tag teams on the list this year because there are no fucking tag teams deserving. It might have to be the fucking Mac Twins. They actually wrestle.
You mean Goodwill Bumping? That's officially what we're calling them from now on.
That is a pretty good name, but
yes,
they'll always be the Mac Twins to me because they still do. They start that entrance off so cool with Nathan Frazier's awesome music, and they dump out for the glossy fucking stupid ass bullshit of the fucking Axiom crap. God, I hate it.
Did they really call them Faxium? Somebody called them Faxium, and I was just like
Fraxium with an F.
Fraxium. Oh, Fraxium.
Frazier and Axiom. Fraxium.
Fraxium. Yeah. They can't come up with something better.
It was an internet nickname that a couple people have said on TV now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You can't tell me that you can't think of something with math related. Like, come on.
Well, the nice thing is after like I berated the math shit when they debuted it, they for the most part they don't say it. They just still have the stupid fucking entrance. They got rid of the fucking Pythag equations at least on screen, but
I don't like his entrance with the blurry stuff either.
I hate it. It's dumb. And Frazier has such a dope song and entrance. God, but we'll get to that later.
Frazier's got a lot bigger, higher ceiling than Axiom. Axiom
he's trained by Seth Rollins, so you know he's going to get the Golden Boy treatment, as he should. He's very good.
I'll just say this much. Axiom on his own, not for me.
He's a great performer, but it's just him wearing that mask. It's just in the name. It's just like, just fucking take it off and call him fucking A-Kid. People liked him for that.
All right.
You book him as a fucking underdog. Come back, Nestlemania.
Yes.
Hey, Bailey. Ooh, I want to know if you'll be my comeback. Da, 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 da. Pretty simple. Bailey's back, Nestlemania. Love to see it. That's all I got.
Just like watching her run.
Watch them. Yep.
That's it. It's fun when she runs. Anyway, my comeback goes to, well, a little bit of everybody in this. I'm giving it to Tozawa and Maxine. I thought both of them looked fantastic here. Thank you. And Taz always was like a special place in my heart because I just feel like once he was Cruiserweight champion, he's masterfully done the goofy shit, but he's always amazing in the ring. And then watching Maxine this week, I was like, there was ferocity, there was aggression. She didn't fuck up. She looked like she was learning new moves. She tried new things. She hit that fisherman buster. She had a kip up with that delayed stand up. I was just like, this is great. Like, this is great stuff. And we need C and D and E and F players on Monday Night Raw. And I love, for the most part, American Alpha or Alpha America, whatever that was, the Alpha Academy, they were just kind of cans for a very long time, and Otis. And now I feel like there's a little bit going on here. Like there's a little bit of meat on the bones. I'm excited to see what happens with Maxine. I think she's progressing in an upright trajectory here. And so I'm just happy to see something happening because I just don't want them to lose their steam here. So they're getting my comeback. I'm very excited for them and hopefully they can do something with it.
I am curious what they do next after American Made, but I think when you're that entertaining, they'll find places on television for you. Nestlemania, we go to the big old finish. SmackDown has stuff, but the only thing I care to mention here is spoiler alert for my comeback next week. Vini Vidi Vinci officially makes his return next week on SmackDown, so very excited for that. On Monday Night Raw, we have Jay versus Dunn versus Dragunov versus Strowman. I'm picking Dragunov with my heart. Who you got?
Jey Uso.
Next up, rematch for the women's tag team titles, Bianca and Jade versus Alba and Isla. I think we know what's going to happen there. And then the Wyatt 6 versus American Made in the 8-man tag street fight. Yeah, that'll be what it is. But Nestlemania, we teased it earlier. We're on the big old finish. It's time to talk about No Mercy.
Diggity dog.
We
Anyway,
teased it a little bit there when we were arguing about Fraxium. They won back their tag team titles in surprising fashion. Chase U just got it, but we think we all knew where this was headed with Ridge Holland and Chase U. I just didn't think it would happen instantly, and that's why chef's kiss for the chef. HBK always keeping us on our toes in NXT. Ridge went nuts, took out all of Chase U. They even start to think that maybe like Duke and Riley were going to turn, but nah. Ridge Holland, look it. Rich Holland is never going to be beloved by fans because of the incident with Big E and stuff like that. And it's just like when I look at him, nothing about him says babyface. He is a big hulking man. He has a mean face. It's like he deserves to be a fucking heel. He doesn't need the shillelagh in the hat. Just let him be fucking yoked Rich Holland, be a fucking asshole like Sean Spears said he was. Hashtag Sean Spears knows. And this is where he should be. I thought this was a cool moment for a match that I thought would be a nothing. I'd be like, oh, it's going to be really good like the last one was. But besides that, whatever. They made it one of the most interesting parts of the night.
it was a good tag match for sure. I had no problem with the tag match in general. But the one thing that was like very apparent to me was this tag team division is in shambles. Like if we're doing Chase U versus the Math Twins, Goodwill Bumping, I'm thinking, I mean, it was a great match. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, it's two of the best wrestlers versus one of the best gimmicks. So it's not that far fetched.
No, I know. It's just, I feel like usually I get like when I watch NXT, right? It's like, I'm looking at how excited I am to be like, there's this person. I can't wait for them to go up to the main roster and do this. I'm not getting excited about tag team wrestling in NXT anymore. So we
just talked about it. There's not good tag team wrestling anywhere.
I know right that's frustrating.
So why would developmental would there be good tag teams? Like there's some very raw talents, but it's just like, it's a very deficient market right now in wrestling.
It upset me so much. Here's something I wanted to ask you. You might laugh me out of the podcast with this. Do you think there's a shot that they try to book Rich Holland against Obafemi and have him beat Obafemi?
I don't think he'll beat Obafemi, but I could see Oba adding him to the list of meat deaths.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't laugh at me, so that's good.
No, because Ridge, like, look it, they've done a good job rehabbing his character because that's what they did by sending him to NXT. It's like, this guy needs the full HBK treatment because he smells like a stinky fucking shit right now. And we got to see if we can save his career in this company. And I think they've done that. And this is just now they've polished him and he's come back out and now he can cook as a heel.
You can't polish a turd, Joshua.
They polished this one and he came out looking ridgy.
Anyway, next, Zachary Wentz defeated Wesley 13 minutes, 37 seconds. This was a great match, an interesting outcome I did not expect. Of course, Trey Miguel got involved there. I love this match, but the one thing that was very apparent to me was Zach probably shouldn't have won, but it was like probably a do-good for TNA and a do-good because that's his boy. So he was like, I'll put my guy over. But like
story-wise, it made sense because he was the babyface. But the reason why it surprised me is I expected this to be like more than one. Like I thought Wes would win on his home turf and then Zach would win on his home turf and then they'd have like a rubber match, but it appears they're just moving on from it. I do think a little bit of what you said is true because I think a lot of people who work at NXT were very unhappy with how the Zachary Wentz thing kind of went down and it led to his dismissal. So I think they're happy to work with him again. But yeah, I mean, look, we had back-to-back surprises to kick off the night. I'm curious what's next for Wesley because he was such a beloved babyface. Now they have him as a heel character. And I talk about this all the time with NXT. They're stars before they're ready for a call-up. If they've been predominantly baby faces, they give them a heel run because I think they want to see if they can do both sides of the coins before they call them up. So I think Wes would be a guy that next year it's getting to be put up or shut up time. And I think especially with Ricochet gone, like you could use another ping pongy guy in the main roster. So I think that makes sense. But I'm curious in the short term, sometimes with NXT, once the character's kind of gone through it, it's like, what do they do next? Zachary Wentz has already said him and Trey Miguel are going to challenge Fraxium for the tag title. So that'll be a very ping-pongy fun match. But yeah, this was surprising. But after it, I was like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. If they're only doing one match, it makes sense. The babyface goes over and gets revenge.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I do love the gymnastical quality of both men. And I did like the idea of the tit for tat, the chess game that was happening there. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about Zachary Wentz for me that just feels like I really like Wesley. So I felt like He's better than Zachary Wentz. I wanted to see
He
him
is,
win.
but the better person doesn't always win.
No, I know. I'm not a huge fan of it, so it is what it is. Moving on, we have Kalani Jordan defeating Wendy Chu, 13 minutes and 19 seconds. This to me was the stinker of the night. It was what it was. There was an unfortunate top rope thing that happens. It happens all the time. I did like what happened afterwards with Wendy Chu and, of course, Tatum Paxley there. That was kind of interesting to me. Again, don't know where we're going with it, so it makes me tune in. I like that. Kalani has the ability. You can see it. But there's a gee golly gosh Ricochet feeling with her where it's just like, I want to see what kind of character we get with her. Again, this is fine for now, but I want to see. The thing is she's going to be in NXT for a while.
Yeah,
so
she has about as many matches as Oba Femi.
Right. So she's going to be in here for the next 2 years and she's going to be just fine. But as I was watching her, I was like, okay. And maybe here's the other thing too. And maybe it was subliminal to me. They had the Fatal Influence package running before that. And they were talking about all these Division 1, 2, and 3 athletes that are just sitting there versus the actual people who have wrestled and shit.
Gimmick, yep.
And I was just like, okay, I can get behind that. So that feels like that's where they're headed. I can see a Fallon or, any of them really taking off that North American title off of her. But I don't know. There's definitely the athleticism is there, but that's the problem is some of these Division 1, 2, and 3 athletes are freaks of nature and have amazing characters and can just go right off the bat. And then there are others that are just the amazing athlete and haven't found their footing yet. So I'm praying and hoping for her that she finds something more than what she is, because again, she's incredibly green and she's got a huge upside. But I was watching her and I was just like, what else you got? Because I actually really like where Wendy Chu's character is going. I think it's fascinating to me. It's an interesting, back and forth. So I just love 3-dimensional characters when I'm watching something, and this feels like Kalani's kind of just a 2-dimensional character.
Go back and watch Bianca's first singles match in NXT on pay-per-view. It was fucking terrible. But you know what happened? She learned from it and got better. This was Kalani's first ever step up. She hasn't done much. So look at this match. It had nice moments. It had a lot of clunky moments for sure. But it's one of those things at some point, like the only way these individuals and these athletes are going to truly learn is to put them in front of a crowd and have a big match. If you believe in them, let them go out there and fail a little bit. That's honestly what NXT is for. And obviously Wendy Chu is a very seasoned veteran. So they hope by putting with her, it wouldn't be as glaring, but she had her moments here as well. So it wasn't the best match. I saw Twitter was very back and forth with it. People either really liked it or really hated it. There wasn't much in between. For me, it was like, yeah, it was what it was. But what else we got?
Moving on, we have, of course, Oba Femi. He's a fucking unit, as JC was defeating Tony D'Angelo for the North American Championship, 13-47. Just the way he just bounces.
I fucking love him. I love him. I love Tony D. This was booked as Oba's toughest test yet. I thought that was believable because Tony D is surprisingly very strong. We've seen that in his whole run. I think he is one of the top stars in NXT. He has now become one of the seasoned veterans. I think he is one of the faces of NXT. That's why every time he loses or stops challenging for a title, he goes to another one because he's just that damn good. So this made sense as a challenge for Oba, but Oba must pose, baby. Oh, it's not time yet. It's not time yet.
I mean, every time I watch him wrestle, I think I'm tired of this guy. And then I'm not, like 30 seconds in, I'm
Never.
like, what am I talking about?
It's like saying you're tired of Braun Strowman. And then he runs around and hits someone and goes roar. And I'm right back in, baby.
It's fascinating to me. And then the other thing is just like watching Tony D. There's something about him. Like I know Shawn Michaels has said, I'm worried about Hollywood scooping him up because I think he's a special dude.
He is an incredible character.
But Stacks, I love. The other two, I couldn't give less of a shit about.
They're very raw, and we still don't know a lot about them. But he doesn't need a family. If you're gonna be the head of a family and have a faction called the family, you've got to have other members. So
no, I don't know. I just feel like they could do a better job with that portion of it, and
they're working on it. I mean, those two are so fucking new.
I just feel like here's my thing. I feel like Tony D would have to go to Raw, not SmackDown, when he gets there, and that means by proxy the three of those will come with him. We know Stacks can go.
That didn't happen with Elektra, so
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm just trying to think if there's people on the roster that could fill those roles for him. to supplement into the family that are on the main roster.
I don't think you force it. I think it's better with no name people. Like it's just like in a movie, like you don't always want to put a big star in a role like that because it takes away from what the role's supposed to be. Like there's subservience to Tony.
I'm thinking more of the people that aren't being used in the main roster that could then, fill in. That's all.
You need believable Italians, and unfortunately, I don't think they have too many of my people. Julia is part Italian, so
you've made that abundantly clear. Yes,
but Nestlemania, enough talking about this. We got to get to my fucking favorite part of the show, and that was Jada Parker's walk and talk promo entrance. Was the best walk and talk promo entrance they've done of these. She is such a fucking badass, and she is so fucking believable. Jesus Christ. Her confidence is unfucking matched. This was a big step up for her, and I thought she delivered. We know Roxanne doesn't have bad matches. She's like Gunther. It just doesn't happen. So it's like you knew that this match was going to be good, but I thought Jada looked great. This was a breakout performance for her. I think this feud has been a breakout performance of her. People are getting to see her character. Her confidence is rising. She has the potential to be a big star as well. She obviously didn't get the win, but it wasn't her time yet. But the presence she showed, especially in that fucking walk and talk promo, that thing was awesome. I watched that thing like 5 times. And I was like, this is so good. Because sometimes you watch these, and I know you like to make fun of the Ciampa ones. Like, they're okay. But it's like this one, I was like, Jada Parker, she's fucking made to do this. And she delivered.
She is made to do it, but unfortunately, she has a lot to do in the department of wrestling. That was when you're going against the Prodigy. I mean, she held her own for the most part, but I was watching it going, this girl is going to be something special someday. It's going to take her 3 to 6 years, but she's going to be there, and she's going to be, in the conversation. I think I would prefer her as a North American champion. I think going forward, I think that's believable with her because I think she could learn a lot from a different couple of people. And I think she could, spend some time, working on some stuff there. So, but again, huge upside for her. That character is fucking amazing. Amazing. I don't know about Out the Mud, the rest of them, but she's a star.
You love to shame Out the Mud.
I just hate the fucking name. I really do. Like the GTA graphics, I'll fucking pop for that every day.
Yeah, they don't even say Out the Mud. They just say OTM. So who cares what it stands for?
We never found out what MSK stood for, right?
Mucho Super Karate. I have no fucking idea.
You have no fucking clue. You are not an improv guy. Anyway, we'll move on to Ethan Page defeating Joe Hendry, 15 minutes and 8 seconds with, of course, Trick Williams as the special guest referee. This had a lot of gaga at the end here. Let's take a moment, folks, and really, really think about this for a second. We had a former AEW guy wrestling a TNA guy in the main event of an NXT fucking pay-per-view.
And the big NXT star was the fucking ref.
I know. And I was sitting there watching this. Like, the thing is how do you fumble Ethan Page? Like the all ego thing didn't really work in AEW, but it
just never got consistent time.
But I was just thinking to myself, like, it's literally his identity.
The theme song's so good too. Ego.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And he just points, and it's just like they exploit. It's so easy. It was like Shawn Michaels was just like, I got 60 billion things to do. Yeah, give him the fucking music and the thing, and then he'll be fine. And it was just like Shawn Michaels probably didn't even fucking pay attention to him. And it just works. The ego thing works. And then to see Joe Hendry come out to 13,000 fans singing his song, watching him work the crowd with the side-by-side and the hand waving and the whole thing, I was just so happy for him. Like Trick Williams is a big deal. You can, that Trick, But man, all of these moving parts happening here was so fantastic. Joe Hendry to me, it was one of those things where it was like, it's almost cringy, but it's still like a guilt.
That's why it works.
It's like a guilty pleasure thing. Like, it's just like, but then I'm thinking to myself, what is he going to, he's gone now, right? Like you would think he's gone for a little bit.
You don't know if you saw him walking through back to the back with Shawn Michaels. They had a nice little embrace, and Michael's HBK said, I believe, and all this and that. And Joe said, hey, if you say my name, I will appear. So he's not done. And he said he could appear anywhere, which means he's definitely going to be in the fucking Rumble this year. That's a sure thing. But look, I thought this was the perfectly booked match because it was just one of those things. Like, you had everyone believing that Joe Hendry might win because we all believe. but the beauty was, I kind of talked about this earlier with Gunther. This solidified Ethan Page as your top heel. I think it finally gave him that okay, because it's just he kind of won the title, and it feels like, oh my god, he's there, like he beat Oro Mensa, whatever. But it's just like that you solidified him as a fucking hateable character. And when you think NXT, you think his stupid face, and you're mad at him. And it's gonna set up better, so when Trick gets it back from him, it'll be bigger. But on the Joe Hendry side, I say it was perfect because this is just the beginning for Joe Hendry. This was his like finally like out into the world moment. Like it's been one of those things, like you said, he's been like a cringy, like well-known thing, and he's popped up and he's like this big cult thing. It's like he just fucking main evented a PLE in WWE on the NXT brand in front of whatever you said, 13 dot whatever. It's just like holy shit. So he has arrived in the wrestling world. He will do more stuff with NXT. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get that NXT title at some point down the line. But it's just like one of those things we talk about all the time when you have newer stars and people on the uprise. You got to give the fans that taste and have them taste that defeat with their baby face. It's on the tip of their tongue and take it away, because then the build back to it, it makes it even stronger. But it's just like one of those things. If they just gave him the title, that'd be it. We're done. Joe Hendry's the champ. Now what? But it's like, no, we're kicking this down the line. This is just the beginning for him. This is solidifying a top heel in a men's division in NXT, which people were very worried with all the call-ups and everything that how would they fill it in? They'll be just fine. They always are. But it's just like they kind of needed someone at the top. They needed someone believable to put against Trick Williams. And they found it with All Ego Ethan Page. And look, here's the thing. There might be more on the horizon, which I think is exciting coming from AEW. So this, to me, this is a perfectly booked match. Once again, the Chef, amazing show. I fucking love NXT. It is the best wrestling show every week. It is consistent. I know what I'm going to get. Even the bad shit, I still watch because it somehow is good and there's a purpose to it. But the good shit, the good shit, man. There's nothing like that good shit.
There's a real parallelism to me where I'm watching Ethan Page. And then a couple of years ago with Bobby Roode in NXT, there's
Ethan
a
Page
very
is so much better than Bobby Roode.
No. But I'm just saying, like,
opinion.
No. I'm not saying comparatively in the ring. I'm just saying like they both filled the gap.
Yes,
at that point,
they were a veteran to step in and fill the gap so you could get to the next wave.
Right, and I think that was really important. You get another one, I know. But anyway,
I'm fucking cooking tonight.
Yeah. So overall, did you like No Mercy or did you like Bash in Berlin better?
I like No Mercy better, but I loved both.
Oh, fuck. We got to do all out predictions.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was setting it up where it's like,
Christ.
We're going from the highest of highs, the best weekly wrestling show, to the biggest fucking pile of shit. We just had All In, which was a good show for the most part. Now we go to All Out, which is just this fucking thrown together bullshit. We only have 6 matches in Nestlemania, which means they're going to add 12 tomorrow. So thank God we only have to predict 6. You ready?
Yep.
Singles match for the AEW International Championship. Will Ospreay defends his newly won title against Pac. I'm picking Will Ospreay.
Ospreay all day fucking long.
Oi. I could give 2 fucks about Pac and AEW. I'm sorry. Chicago Street Fight for the CMLL World Women's Championship. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander with Stokely Hathaway. I mean, look at Willow and Statlander to be paid off. I don't know what the fuck this title is, but give me Willow.
I will also take Willow here because I feel like why would Stat need it? I don't know.
Now we're going to swerve to my favorite type of match. Steel cage match, apparently, between Swerve and Heyman Adam Page. This makes sense for their feud. Who you got in this one, Nestlemania?
There's interesting thoughts here because it's just like, so Swerve's always beaten Page, right?
I think so.
That's the line. And he said you couldn't beat me by yourself. We're in a cage. It's almost like I think Swerve is going to win here just to see how much further Hangman Page is going to fucking lose it. Like, in theory, you would think Page would win, right? Hangman should win this thing to make it right. I think Swerve's going to win.
Interesting. I'm picking Hangman because at some point, and the way I look at this is, this kind of happens in real life sports, so maybe applying it to wrestling doesn't really work, but you see someone coming off a championship and their next time out, they usually lose just because it's a letdown spot. It's a classic letdown spot. You see it in fighting, you see it in other sports. They call it the Super Bowl hangover in football. So I'm going to pick Hangman because I think Hangman's on the way up, and Swerve is one of those things where it's like he was just on the mountaintop, so you can knock him down a few pegs and no one will look differently. Next up, Singles match. MJF versus Daniel Garcia. I'll take MJF.
It doesn't have a belt involved. I think Garcia might win this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Garcia because what does it have to do?
I don't fucking know.
That's it. You're picking MJF. All right.
Yes.
That's a safe bet.
I'm picking MJF. Yeah. Singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné with Camille defends against Hikaru Shida. They just gave this fucking banner away on TV, and now they're just booking it out of nowhere. Tony Khan, you suck. Give me Mercedes.
Give me Mercedes because, like you just said, you gave it away. You fucking gave this shit away. This is an oopsie. Britt Baker fucking didn't do a good job, so we'll give you Shida. That's what it is.
Even though we just saw it last week.
Mm-hmm.
The main event, which this caught me fucking way out of nowhere, Nestlemania, when I saw this promo. Career-threatening match for the AEW World Championship. I don't know what that means. I think it just means that when Danielson loses, he's done. He defends against a fucking TNT champion, Jack Perry. Where the fuck did this come with? All the dream matches you can knock off the list for Brian here at the end. We get Jungle Jackass, Jack Perry. Like, what?
I can't believe this is going to be the main event.
I can't believe this is a match.
The steel cage should be the main event.
This is a TV match. This is a Bryan Danielson defends the title on TV match, not a fucking headlining pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That you call, like, it's so fucking weird. I'm picking Danielson, by the way, but it's just, this came out of nowhere for me.
We're both picking Bryan here. I'm sure it'll be an okay match.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm enjoying this new Jack Perry character, but it's just like, they left the dolphin a bit with this one. It's like, keep him in the mid-card where he belongs. Why the fuck is he challenging Bryan Danielson?
Yeah, I don't know.
Out of here.
I have no idea. I'm not interested in seeing this at all.
Yeah, no, this card kind of sucks running through it. The only match that I might care about, Mercedes and Sheet, I've already seen.
I kind of want to see the steel cage match because I know it'll be good.
Yeah, but it's just like, that's not enough to sell me on a pay-per-view. They could have that main event Dynamite and I'd be excited. You know what I mean?
Every match on this card could be on a Dynamite.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at this. This is like, oh, we just had our biggest show of the year 2 weeks ago, and it shows.
Yeah, there's some fatigue for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. This is a long one, so we're going to get the fuck out of here. All right. On that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobberknocker podcast. We'll be back next week with some more Jobberknockery.
Out the mud, baby.